All right, Chassidus on the Parsha. Today we'll be looking at a piece from the Shemi Shmuel on Parshas Vzos Habracha and a little bit on Simchas Torah. So look at the pasuk on the left side of your screen. It says Vzos Habracha Asher Berach Moshe Ish Elohim Be'ez Bnei Yisrael Lifnei Moso. This is the first verse in this week's Parsha, and it says, and this is the blessing that Moshe, the man of God, blessed the Bnei Yisrael before its death. Now look at the right side of the screen, which is the commentary of Rashi on this verse, which says Vzos Habracha Lifnei Moso. And this is the blessing wherewithin Moshe blessed the children of Israel before his death, quite near to his death. For he said, if not now, when? So the Shemi Shmuel wants to examine what is the purpose of this comment. What does this comment add on and teach us that we couldn't have gleaned from the verse itself? Because there's many verses where Rashi does not say anything. And when he chooses to say anything, it's because he's trying to misspell a mistaken notion or add something on that we wouldn't have gotten on our own. Yet we don't really see what Rashi at face value is adding on here or what notion he seems to be misspelling. So we're going to take a little bit of a detour for a second, and we're going to get a background on how blessings work. What is a bracha? Why do people go to tzaddikim, holy people, to get blessings? So one of my rebbeim in yeshiva, Rabbi Yaakov Sussman Shlita, he wanted to explain to me how the blessing of a tzaddik works. And he said it's not just some hokey-pokey, hocus-pocus type of thing, that a tzaddik can just throw something out of his mouth and boom, magic, and you're healed from your affliction, or you've gotten what you wanted. That's not how it works. And if that's what you intend when you go to get a blessing from a holy person, well, you're sadly mistaken on what, like, your expectations are very off, and you probably won't get what you're looking for. So what he explained to me is that I believe the rabbi he quoted was the Chofetz Chaim. At one point, the Chofetz Chaim stopped giving people brachos. And so they asked him, why don't you give people blessings anymore? And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, okay, he didn't probably say these exact words. He says, you think it's a joke? That I can just bless somebody and poof, they're better? When I know I have to give somebody a bracha, you know what I do beforehand? I fast for like 24 hours. I spend all night learning. That's what I do before I give somebody a blessing. And I'm too old. I'm no longer physically capable of doing all of that. So I can no longer give people blessings anymore. So we see by the Chofetz Chaim that giving somebody a bracha was a real avodah. It was a real effort. And one time somebody asked me, he said, why do you need to go to a tzaddik to get a blessing? Why do you have to go to a holy person to get a blessing? I can just give you a blessing. And I said, you're absolutely right. You could give me a blessing. And in fact, the Gemara says, the Talmud says, that you shouldn't look at the blessing, you shouldn't overlook the blessing of a simpleton. And so you're right. I could get a blessing from you. However, as we just said, blessings are not a hocus-pocus type of thing. They're a real avoda. They're an actual work. And a master craftsman is going to usually do a better job than an amateur. So we can't be naive. A blessing and its effectiveness is based on a person's concentration when they're giving it. And concentration is a function of the brain and the heart. And at tzaddik, his mind is not polluted with things like Instagram and TikTok. And his heart is not polluted with things of physical desires and candy. So, and you have to also keep in mind that what is he giving the blessing with? He's giving the blessing with his mouth. His mouth is not a mouth that has been contaminated by forbidden foods or by forbidden speech. So his blessing is more likely to come out like fine flour. What I've just shown you, we see that a lot of the ability of a blessing to come true is based on the level of the giver. But they also depend a lot, and perhaps even more so, on the receiver in most cases. You see, every human being is like a vessel, but not all vessels have the same capacity to hold things. Some people have a higher spiritual capacity, and therefore they can receive blessings more. They can receive more of the blessings that are being bestowed. And you can work on yourself to become a higher level vessel, so to speak, a vessel that can hold more. So with all of this in mind, we can go back to our original point, which is, what is Rashi adding on over here? That he did it close to his death, because if not now, when? So the Shemi Shmuel says something unbelievable. He says that, of course, when the Jewish people were in the wilderness, in the desert, They were growing every single day. They're learning Torah. They had the guidance of Moses. They're eating the manna, the uncontaminated, pure food from heaven. So every single day they were growing and steiging and getting better in their ruchnius and in their spiritual levels. So Moshe Rabbeinu, he wanted to wait till the exact last moment to bless them. And if he could delay more, he would have delayed more, because the Jewish people were growing by the second, and the more they grow, the more they could receive his blessing, the more they could hold on to it and take that which is being bestowed upon them. So he was doing this for the benefit of the Jewish people. Now, you might think what I said was nice, and that was something that was true at the times of Moshe, but it doesn't really have much of a connection to what we are doing in 2025. So the Shem Yishmael takes this a step further, and he says, did you know that we do not do Birkas Kohanim? Like every single day in like Sfardim, they have Kohanim go up and bless people in the synagogue, and Ashkenazim do it on holidays. And usually we would do it on a holiday, like Simchas Torah. However, Ashkenazim don't do it on Simchas Torah. And the Shem Yishmael says, why is that? So the Shem Yishmael says that what he heard is that because on this day, we read from the Torah, the blessings that Moshe Rabbeinu gave the Jewish people. That's the Torah reading for the day of Simchas Torah. And when we do that, when we read it in public and we read it from a Sefer Torah, it's as if Moshe is giving us those blessings in the present time. It's like he's literally speaking to us in 2025. And so we don't want to maybe perhaps have the blessings of the Kohanim on the same day, because we don't want to divert our attention. Because remember, we said you have to have full intention. When somebody's giving you a blessing, you have to be thinking about what they're saying and fully concentrated and listening to what they're saying. So we want to solely focus on the day of Simchas Torah, where Moshe Rabbeinu is giving us a blessing, so to speak, himself through the Birkas, for the Kriyas Torah that we're doing. We want to solely focus on Moshe Rabbeinu's blessings and not on anyone else's blessings. Simchas Torah, more than maybe any other time of the year, you need to understand what the Baal Koreh, what the person reading the Torah is saying. So when you're listening to the Torah being read, you can't just sit there and just stare in the sky on Simchas Torah. Because Moshe Rabbeinu is literally giving you a blessing. And we said that a blessing takes effect by your understanding of the blessing and the higher spiritual level and you paying attention to it. So you need to go on Simchas Torah, try your best as hard as you can to listen to every single word, and in your mind say, Amen, Amen, I agree, thank you, Moshe, for this specific blessing and for that specific blessing, and get an English Chumash. Get a Chumash that is written in English so that you can understand what's going on. Think about all the traveling people do throughout the year. Think about all the money that people pay sometimes to go and meet somebody who they think is tzaddik. Well, we know Moshe Rabbeinu is a tzaddik, and on Simchas Torah you have the ability in your home synagogue, not far away from your house, to get his literal blessing. The highest person that ever lived of all time. Shem Yishmael wants to take this another step further. He says, well, and the implication of what he says is that we could have finished the Torah earlier. We didn't have to finish the Torah on Simchas Torah. I mean, we stopped reading new Torah portions like a week ago. I mean, we could have made some more double Parshas. Why is it that Hashem wants us to finish, or that the rabbis set it up, let's put it that way, finish the Torah on Simchas Torah and not earlier? So now we can go back, and it's the exact same answer as our original answer. We just had a whole month called Elul, where we did spiritual refinement of ourselves. And then we had Rosh Hashanah. And then we had Yom Kippur, where we fasted. And then we had Sukkot. And then we had Shmini Atzeres. So what more opportune time? Like, we wait till the last moment, so to speak, of the year, before the start of the new year of the Kriyas Torah, so that we ourselves, through all of those holidays, achieve tremendous spiritual growth. So he wants us to experience a Sukkot and wants us to experience a Shmini Atzeres, because that causes us to grow, and then we'll be able to accept the blessings that Moshe gave us even more so. So we have to keep this all in mind while the Torah is being read, because I know it can be a very long day on Simchas Torah, but it is a day that if we use it right, I mean, think about all the blessings that you can receive. All right, so have a good Yontif.